As we discussed in the What is a Monte Carlo Analysis section, Monte Carlo analysis does not give precise results. It gives probabilities, and rough ones at that. Always take the results of a Monte Carlo analysis with a grain of salt. And if something looks off, you need to look at it more closely to understand just what the numbers are telling you. We're always happy to help you understand just what's happening behind the scenes. There are 4 sets of numbers to look at: the probability of success, the cumulative wealth, the wealth over time, and the cash flow analysis. Let's take a look at them in turn. The probability of success is the main number that comes out of the analysis. Simply put, it is the percent of the simulated paths that were able to meet all of the goals in the plan. In other words, if 100 of the 1,000 paths ran out of money before the end of the simulation, the plan would have a 90% probability of success. This is a good starting point, but it doesn't tell you how extreme the outcomes are going to be. It's one thing if your retirement plan is running out of money when you're 105. It's a very different thing if that plan is running out of money when you're 75. The probability of success is the starting point. If a plan doesn't have a high enough probability of success, then a deeper dive might be necessary to ensure that you have a solid plan. The plan's cumulative wealth shows you just how big the range of return is in your plan, adjusted back at a constant 3% inflation rate. We show you 3 outcomes: the 90th percentile, an optimistic outcome; the median, the 50th percentile; and the 10th percentile, a pessimistic outcome. The way to read these numbers is that 90% of the time you'll have less money than the 90th percentile, half the time you'll have less than the 50th percentile, and 10% of the time you'll have less than the 10th percentile. 80% of the simulations have between the 90th and 10th percentiles. It's important to remember the other side of that point. 20% of the time, the ending value is outside of those numbers. The cumulative wealth will give you an idea of what the spread of results are, but only at the terminal point. To get a better picture of the dispersion within your plan, take a look at the Wealth Over Time report. The Wealth Over Time report is basically an expanded cumulative wealth chart. We use the same 90th, 50th, and 10th percentiles, but we show them throughout the plan. This should give you an idea of just what path the plan is taking in aggregate. The cash flow report is the nitty-gritty section of the analysis. Using the path with the median ending value, we break down the cash flow for each year. Let's take a look at what each column is telling us. The beginning portfolio value is just what it sounds like, the amount of money in the portfolio at the beginning of the year. The total net income is the sum of all the income streams included in the plan for that year. Total net goals is the sum of all of the goals included in the plan for that year. Excess income and contributions tells you how much of that year's contributions and income is left over to be invested in the taxable portfolio after meeting that year's goals. Unless there are RMD considerations, income will always be hit first to meet any goals. The gross taxable distributions is the amount of money taken out of the taxable account to meet that year's goals. This is a pre-tax number, so it may be higher than the net goals number. Gross tax-deferred distributions. Just like gross taxable distributions, this is the amount of money taken out of the tax-deferred accounts to meet that year's goals. This is also a pre-tax number, so it may be higher than the net goals number. Tax-exempt distributions. You're probably sensing a trend here. This is the amount of money taken out of the tax-exempt accounts to meet that year's goals. Since taxes have already been paid on this money, this number will always be either equal to or less than the net goals. Total gross distributions. This is the total amount of money taken out of the investment accounts to meet the net goals. Unless all of the year's goals were met with tax-exempt money, this will not be the same as total net goals because of taxes. Total capital gains taxes. This is the amount of capital gains taxes paid in that year. This is estimated based on historical turnover, the simulated net return, and the capital gains tax rate you have entered for that year. Total income taxes. This is the amount of income taxes paid in that year. This is based on the distributions made from the investment accounts, as well as any actual income streams, to meet the net goals. Simulated net return. This is the number that you are probably most curious about. This is the assumed investment return for the portfolio in this path for this year. We generate this number based upon the model that you have for that year in the plan. We create a normal curve based on the average return and standard deviation you have in the model, and then the program plucks randomly from that curve. You're much more likely to get a number close to the middle, but don't be too surprised if you see either a really high or a really low number for that year. Ending portfolio value. Just like the beginning portfolio value, this is the value of the portfolio at the end of the year.